Today, insurance giants Aon and Willis Towers Watson scrapped their multi-billion-dollar merger. It's after the Justice Department sued to block the deal. Marlboro cigarette maker Philip Morris wants the UK to ban cigarettes. What will it sell instead? And U.S. population growth is nearing zero, according to the Wall Street Journal. That means if the trend continues, the country could start shrinking. That and much more, coming up at NTD Business. Good evening, great to have you with us. I'm Paul Graney. Insurance giants Aon and Willis Towers Watson called off their $30 billion merger today, saying objections from regulators created unacceptable delay and uncertainty. Last month, the Justice Department sued to block the deal on anti-competition grounds. It would have created the world's largest insurance broker. The U.S. Attorney General called the termination a victory. He says employees and retirees rely on their employers for health care and retirement plans. Many of those employers, in turn, rely on insurance brokers like Aon and Willis to manage the plans. He said dropping the merger would help to maintain competition in the industry. But in response, Aon CEO saying the DOJ didn't see the two companies operate complementary businesses across broad areas. The deal would actually have sped up innovation. Because of the cancellation, Aon will now pay Willis a $1 billion termination fee. We don't know how that'll hit the company's financials yet, but they'll report results on Friday. Willis says it would boost share repurchases by $1 billion as a result. And one of the biggest tobacco companies in the world, Philip Morris, wants the UK to ban cigarettes. That would outlaw its own Marlboro brand, its top moneymaker. So what's the strategy? NTD's Colin Fredrickson investigates.
Tobacco giant Philip Morris wants the UK government to ban tobacco, a move that would outlaw its own Marlboro brand. Its CEO told the Mail on Sunday, "I want to allow this company to leave smoking behind. I think in the UK, 10 years from now maximum, you can completely solve the problem of smoking." When asked if he was planning on ending UK cigarette sales in that period of time, he said absolutely. He elaborated more in a video earlier this year.
There is not only about Philip Morris become a smoke-free, but how we can transform the entire industry. Now, to achieve that, we need a collaborations with the governments.
With the termination of its flagship product, one of Philip Morris's alternatives is its IQOS tobacco heating system. IQOS heats tobacco at relatively lower temperatures, supposedly reducing the levels of harmful chemicals.
Strong momentum for the IQOS brand is paying off. We further estimate that 73% of this total, or 14.7 million adult smokers, have switched to IQOS and stopped smoking.
The company has invested over $8 billion to develop alternatives such as the IQOS.
The level of motivation was just unbelievable.
This comes as its EU cigarette shipment volume declined by 3.3% over the past 6 months, and as the number of smokers in the UK falls. Statista shows Philip Morris was the second leading tobacco company globally in 2020 based on net sales, behind British American Tobacco and in front of Imperial Brands. Colin Fredrickson, NTD News.
And the U.S. government just got more time to file an amended complaint against Facebook. The Federal Trade Commission is trying to break up the social media giant. A federal judge recently dismissed the agency's original complaint because prosecutors failed to provide enough facts to back up the claim Facebook holds a monopoly over social networking. But the judge just gave the FTC a 30-day window to refile its lawsuit. Now has until August 19th to file the amended complaint. Facebook has until October 4th to respond. And stocks shook off a wobbly start, finished slightly higher on Wall Street today. The Dow rose 83 points, about 0.25%. S&P 500 gained 11 points, also 0.25%. The Nasdaq added about 4 points today. Bitcoin rose about $40,000 today. It's the highest level since mid-June. Later fell a little bit, but now about 39,000. Ether also hit a 3-week peak. Possible reason for the jump is short sellers being liquidated. One broker says a record $1.2 billion in shorts was liquidated over the past 24 hours. Also over the weekend, there were reports in the UK that Amazon is looking to accept Bitcoin as payments by the end of the year. Can't confirm that yet. Last week, Tesla boss Elon Musk said the car maker would likely resume accepting Bitcoin once it conducts due diligence on its energy use. that suspended Bitcoin payments in May. Twitter boss Jack Dorsey also said last week that the digital currency is a big part of the social media firm's future. Brokers said that all these news pieces taken together were enough to finally lift the market from the floor. And sales of new homes fell for a third straight month in June, dropping by 6.6%, its lowest level in more than a year. Probably more significantly, the median new home price is down 5% from May. Despite the drop, it's still up 6% from a year ago. Massive fiscal support from central banks and record low mortgage rates have fueled housing demand. It was also boosted by millions of Americans working from home, taking online classes. But supply has lagged behind demand. Builders held back by high lumber prices, shortages of other materials, even shortages of labor. Supply of new homes for sale did rise 7% from June from the month before, suggesting the surge in prices may be slowing as inventory rises. It looks like fewer and fewer Americans are having babies, a trend that started way before the pandemic, but early estimates say last year the population grew at its slowest pace on record. NTD's Phil Zoe spoke to New Yorkers to find out what's important to them when it comes to having a family or not.
In half of America, there are more people dying than being born. Why is that happening? Is it just because of the CCP virus pandemic, or is there another reason?
It's going to be how do we work to bring balance to the planet.
If you can procreate, procreate.
Raising a child is expensive, especially in New York City.
The U.S. population only grew by 0.35% last year, according to estimates. That's the lowest number ever recorded.
For millennia that said, oh, we're overpopulated, oh, we have to change this and that.
OBGYN nurse practitioner Simone says people, especially millennials, have many concerns about having children.
The things are just getting more and more expensive, so you need to be able, you want to be able to give them at least the bare necessities and what they need to be able to be productive in this world.
But Simone says there are also good reasons why people have children.
You want your family name to live on, and you want to leave something here because we all know we're not going to live forever. So you want your all you have done and all your work, you want someone to be able to carry that on for you.
PJ doesn't have children herself, but is excited about the future generation and their opportunities ahead.
I think we'll actually find that we have more land available than we think. We have more resources available than we think. If we are more, I won't say prudent, but if we value what we have more.
Honestly, truly makes you happy, and that's the connections and people that you're around and like the moments and memories that you have with that.
Aiden is looking forward to having children despite the difficulties today.
If you care about progression of just like the human race as a whole, I feel like you should procreate.
And some final thoughts.
Yeah, family is important, whether that be like a blood-related family or just like a family that you cultivated over the years from like friendships with people.
Do what you feel is right for you in your situation.
If you're meant to have a family, prepare for it and have your family. If you're not meant to have a family or you want to postpone it, that's okay too. It's going to be fine.
Phil Zoe, NTD News, New York.
Chris Porter co-authored Big Shifts Ahead, Demographic Clarity for Business, asked if the pandemic did indeed just speed up the population trends we were already seeing.
You're exactly right. I mean, we were seeing deaths trending up in the U.S. simply because we had a growing population of older adults. And we were seeing births trending down because we were seeing that young adults were having children at later in life, and they were probably having fewer children as well. So, certainly from the births and deaths perspective, we were seeing that. Immigration is the big wild card here. And we were already seeing prior to COVID a slowing of immigration to the U.S. So, yes, we were already calling for a slowing in the U.S. population, just a slowing in the growth in the U.S. population even before the pandemic had started.
Do you feel this will hurt the U.S. economy in the medium to long term?
I think it's definitely going to cause some disruption here in the short term. I do think that once we start to see things normalize a bit, we will see those deaths numbers come down. We'll see births probably come back up a bit. And in immigration, I think we need immigration to come back to more sustainable levels in order to keep our working population growing.
And looking at the data and the reasons for the birth rate falling pre-pandemic, I know the Brookings Institute seemed to feel that there won't be a bounce back in the birth rate. I'm not sure what you guys think from your side.
You know, it's interesting. I mean, oftentimes you'll see after a major event in a country, say like a big snowstorm, you see usually 9 months later a big pop and burst. And I think what we probably saw as a result of this last year, people just weren't sure. They weren't certain about what was going to be happening. Quite frankly, they didn't want to be having to go to lots of doctor's appointments at a hospital or a doctor's office while there was this global health crisis going on. So I think we probably saw some delays in people putting off having their next child. And, you know, likewise, we've seen marriages get postponed as well. And so, you know, I think we're going to see a bit of a delay. But certainly we don't have the birth rates that we did have decades ago. And so there has been a general decline in birth rates in recent years, largely because people just aren't having kids at the same rate.
Interesting. Are there businesses preparing for this slowdown in the growth that you've seen?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Have you seen our businesses starting to take action on this slowdown in the growth rate? Are they constantly looking at demographics, or what's the feeling?
So our thought is that businesses should clearly be looking at demographics. I mean, it's one of those things that is somewhat predictable. You know that you're going to be a year older than you are today, 1 year from now. But the challenge is you get these wild card events, these black swan events that can totally disrupt those demographics. So I think that we are going to see some potential wage increases simply as a result of we just have fewer people we can pull from in the workforce now. That growth of the working age adults is slowing, and I think employers are going to have to pay more and pay their current employees more and also pay more to new prospects in order to get those job numbers back up.
Chris Porter. And the saga of the so-called infrastructure bill continues. Well, seems there could be two bills passed. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she has one condition before she holds a vote on the first bill. That's a bipartisan infrastructure bill. She says she wants Senate Democrats to pass a separate $3.5 trillion budget bill via budget reconciliation. That means it doesn't need any Republican support. And that bill is about 3 times bigger than the bipartisan one. Senator Rob Portman says the smaller bipartisan bill is almost done, but Pelosi's remarks could threaten it. He calls the Democrats' bigger plan a reckless tax and spend extravaganza. The smaller bill focuses mostly on core infrastructure projects like roads, water, and bridges. The bigger bill, sponsored by Democrats, includes massive spending for national preschool, free community college, and Medicare expansion. And bad news if you're hoping to visit the United States. Travel restrictions won't be lifted anytime soon. The White House wants to keep them, citing new virus cases caused by the Delta variant. That means if you're from Europe, China, India, Brazil, or other regions, it won't be easy to come. The travel industry wants the Biden administration to lift the travel bans. The administration says it understands the economic concerns, but that science on the CCP virus variants doesn't support opening up again yet. And New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is pressuring all city workers to get vaccinated. And if you don't get the shot, you'll need to do some other things.
On September 13th, the entire city workforce will be mandated under the COVID safety mandate to either get vaccinated, which is far preferable, or get tested once a week. If you are unvaccinated and you are a city employee, beginning on Monday, you must either wear a mask indoors at your work site at all times, or if you would prefer not to, you have to immediately go get vaccinated.
The mayor says the city will soon launch a vaccine passport-style app so that residents can more easily prove their vaccination or testing status. He says anything that helps people to keep track and be held accountable is a good thing. The largest public employee union in New York City is pushing back. It told Fox News that the mayor has to negotiate these requirements and gain the agreement of the union before forcing them on its members. And the UK may remove China's state-owned nuclear power company from its projects. Financial Times reports that the government is exploring ways to decouple. NTD's Patrick Hayden has the story.
Britain is looking to decouple from China's CGN nuclear power company. The Financial Times reports that the government plans to block CGN from the new Sizewell plant in the east of England. worth more than $27 billion. One nuclear expert says CGN has become good and quick at making nuclear plants, but there is another reason for working with the China state-backed provider.
Part of the reason why CGN were brought in was that they were going to bring a significant amount of money.
In 2019, the Trump administration warned the UK about letting China get involved in its critical infrastructure. In 2017, an engineer in the US was sentenced to 2 years in prison for working with CGN to leak nuclear power technology to China.
Well, the US has been consistently right on CGN, and the reason for that is it itself has seen the cost. American companies were the victims of a plot in which CGN was a defendant, in which a Chinese engineer pled guilty to stealing nuclear secrets and passing them back to CGN. It had seen the damage that this company can do firsthand.
Armstrong says the Trump administration, and in particular the work of diplomat Christopher Ashley Ford at the State Department, helped warn about the dangers of CGN. For Britain's Hinkley Point nuclear power station, CGN's investment is significant.
They're investing perhaps £6 or £7 billion, perhaps $10 billion. That's quite a lot of money. And if we don't have CGN as the investor, the other major investor in the plant, the question is who will be?
He said that if state-backed French firm EDF doesn't provide its share of investment to the UK, then these nuclear projects won't work. He says that EDF is currently working closely with the UK government, and if funding is secured, the CGN portion of investment will be of lesser concern. The new Sizewell plant deal is expected to exclude CGN and is similar to the agreement with Hinkley Point, which CGN already works on. Armstrong's asking why they aren't retrospectively looking to do something about the Hinkley situation. Patrick Hayden, NTD News, London.
And China's military is racing to catch up with the United States. But one think tank says its aspirations are being hindered by its socialist command economy. Think tank Rand Corporation says China's reliance on stealing intellectual property means its weapons are years behind. China has recognized that now and is now investing in growing its capabilities through joint ventures and the acquisition of foreign technology. The Rand report was drafted for the U.S. Army and outlines how China is moving away from its model of copying other countries. And China's market regulator said over the weekend it would bar Chinese internet giant Tencent from exclusive copyright agreements. It also fined the company for unfair practices in the online music market. Tencent said it would abide by the decision and comply with all requirements. The regulator says Tencent held more than 80% of exclusive music library resources after it acquired China Music Corporation, and that it leverages that over its competitors. The regulator ordered Tencent and its affiliated companies to no longer engage in exclusive copyright agreements with upstream copyright owners, and existing agreements must be terminated within 30 days. The regulator also ordered Tencent to pay a fine worth over $77,000. The Chinese Communist regime has been targeting China's largest tech companies for huge antitrust penalties in recent months. And the Delta variant is still rampant in parts of Europe. But on Saturday, protests broke out in several European cities as governments are getting tougher with new lockdowns and vaccination mandates. NTD's Eileen Richards has the details.
Anti-vaccine passport and anti-lockdown protests broke out across Europe on Saturday, with riot police firing tear gas as clashes erupted in some cities. In France, around 160,000 demonstrators took to the streets of Paris opposing the introduction of a vaccine passport bill, now pending in the French Parliament. The bill would force people to show proof of vaccination or recent testing to enter restaurants and other public areas. It also includes some of the toughest anti-COVID measures in Europe, like compulsory vaccinations for all healthcare workers. But critics have called it unnecessarily harsh. As the country faces a fourth wave of infections, the government says new lockdowns cannot be ruled out. In London, protesters marched from Trafalgar Square to Downing Street, shouting "freedom and shame on you" toward police officers. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said last week that from the end of September, proof of full vaccination will be required to get into nightclubs and other crowded venues. Johnson's government is betting that England can reopen as fully vaccinated people are less likely to get seriously ill with COVID. On the same day, demonstrators in Dublin called on the Irish government to lift the lockdown and mask measures. According to videos posted online, thousands of Italian protesters gathered in Rome, Naples, Verona, and Milan to oppose a vaccine passport-like system. Foreign media also reported that on Saturday, some 4,000 people protested against mandatory vaccinations outside of the Greek parliament in central Athens.
Still to come this evening, Jeff Bezos offering to cover up to $2 billion of costs for NASA. But there's a catch. What is it? And Russian officials appropriate the word champagne for their nation's sparkling wine. Officials in France expressed dismay and shock at the news. That and more after this short break.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure is 100% private and does not collect or sell any of your personal data. Secure's Helix technology connects you securely to our Swiss servers without the need of a VPN, guaranteeing privacy and security for all your communications. Secure Messenger doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. Chat by Invites allows you to chat privately and securely with anyone outside of your secure network without the need for others to download Secure. Secure Send offers you a private and secure way to email anyone outside of Secure. You won't find this level of privacy or security on any other email or instant messaging application. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. They're not out to tell you the truth of what's happening. They're out to tell you the picture of the world that they represent. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in facts, and prevent people from being misled. This is a battle between truth and deceit. Subscribe today and join the Americans who are seeking truth and tradition. We'd love to have you on board.
Welcome back. The race is on to get back to the moon. Jeff Bezos is offering NASA $2 billion if his company, Blue Origin, is given a contract for a second Human Landing System, or HLS. If granted, Bezos and Blue Origin would build a lunar lander to put astronauts on the moon once again. In his proposal sent to NASA Monday, Bezos said he will waive any payments for the next 2 fiscal years, up to $2 billion. In the letter, Bezos said his approach is designed to be sustainable and grow into permanent, affordable lunar operations. NASA awarded an HLS contract to Tesla founder Elon Musk's SpaceX company in April. Bezos is hoping for the second contract. You're looking to make some money on the side? How about live streaming crime scenes? Controversial new crime tracking app is now hiring and offers about $25 an hour in New York. NTD's Evelyn Lee has more details.
You can make up to $200 a day in New York by live streaming crime scenes and other emergencies. That's the pitch from Citizen. It's a neighborhood watch app that provides real-time safety alerts for its users. The safety alerts mostly come from volunteers around the city who happen to be in the right place at the right time.
So the Citizen app tells you right away what was going on, so that's why I got it.
The app is now quietly hiring New Yorkers who are willing to go to crime scenes and other public emergencies to film and stream the incidents. And beyond that, it's encouraging ordinary New York citizens to do the same. But people have mixed feelings about it.
They shouldn't just go on it to make money. You're talking about to go on the live stream and all that for crimes. I don't think they should do it to make money.
It probably would make you more aware of what's happening in general areas. It would probably help you to realize that maybe some parts of town are worse than others as far as crime rate.
Maybe it's a good idea, a good thing if, we're exposing maybe injustices that are happening, but otherwise it's just probably not okay.
And I think that it sort of starts to turn an opportunity where people could be helping other people into an opportunity where people are making money off of other people being hurt.
The company posted job listings saying that employees will be dispatched to cover events as news, including dogs locked in cars or house fires. In New York, Citizen offers up to $25 an hour for the job. The work actually goes beyond just live streaming the crime scene. It includes reporting from behind the police tape, which means interviewing witnesses and police officers. But the Citizens app that was initially launched as a vigilante app came under criticism before and was actually kicked off the App Store. Apple banned the app because it allegedly encouraged people to put themselves in harm's way. The company also put out a $30,000 reward to find an arson suspect in LA. It started a bounty over live stream and asked local employees to hunt down the arsonist via push notifications. Later, it became clear that the hunt was for the wrong person. After relaunching as Citizen, it increased its safety messaging and de-emphasized the vigilante suggestion. In a statement, the app said it would improve internal processes. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
And the new Russian law dictates that the word champagne can only be used for Russian wine. French champagne makers are less than thrilled by the move. NTD's Andrew Thomas reports.
For most wine lovers, a sparkling wine can only be called champagne if it comes from the namesake region of France and is made under certain regulations.
Thanks to the experienced technicians, a very good sparkling wine is produced by the Charmet method. It was invented a long time ago. The Charmet method was invented in Italy. They started to use it.
But in July, a new Russian law banned foreign wines from using the name champagne. Now, only Russian sparkling wines can be called champagne in Russia, even though they don't follow the same production techniques. And French champagne bottles will have to carry the less glamorous designation of sparkling wine. In France, the news was not well received.
We were kind of amazed. We just couldn't understand what had happened, especially because we were not aware of this draft regulation. So the first reaction was rather incredibility. We couldn't believe it.
The Russian Office of Champagne Company, Moet Hennessy, warned local partners it suspended supplies following the law. This sparked a diplomatic conflict between France and Russia. French producers deeply care about the iconic name of their wine. The Champagne Committee remains hopeful a compromise can be reached.
It's important for us to be able to restart the shipments to Russia, to try to discuss and negotiate a good solution that preserves our right to use the name champagne.
But even to many Russians, a bottle of champagne will always be associated with the French region. French Foreign Affairs Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said he would use all diplomatic means to resolve the issue, but would be willing to bring the case to the World Trade Organization. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
That's the latest business updates for today. You can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox, starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.